Welcome to the PantherPlanet podcast, where we explore how international traditions, cultures, and experiences impact our identities as local and global citizens. This season, Christopher and guests are going to show you how our interconnected worlds are similar than we think. And despite our differences, the human experience is universal. Today, we are talking once more about the ELA conversation program here at the UWM, and we have a very special guest, and I will allow him to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is James Levick. I am an instructor in the program now known as ELA, English Language Academy. It was formerly called ESL. That term is starting to come into a little bit of disfavor because it's just not accurate for many people. ESL, of course, means English as a second language, but some of them, it might be their third or fourth language already. And so a lot of programs around the country are switching to some other form to identify themselves. So I'm an instructor in the English Language Academy, the section of it of the intensive English program. These are for students, international students that have come to the United States and want to study at a university, either here at UWM or some of them intend to transfer somewhere else. But they may not have a high enough English ability right now, and they need just a little bit of a boost before they're ready to join.
I guess that takes us to our first question. Can you provide us with an overview of what the ELA Conversation Partner Program is, and what are the goals for the program, and who are you hoping the participants are?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Conversation Partners Program began actually in 1982. So it's been running for 42 years now.
Older than me.
Yeah, older than most of our participants in there too. So it's been going on for quite a while. We did have a break during the COVID period. I have been the coordinator for the Conversation Program only since last fall, beginning in August. So I'm kind of new to it. The teacher who had been kind of coordinating it before retired.
Nice.
And so the basic goals of this program are to give opportunities for international students to connect with Native American English-speaking students. And this grew out of a need for, especially in our intensive English program, those students are taking only English classes.
Yes.
And with special teachers who are very used to understanding not perfect English, shall we say. Yeah. So we can gloss over the mistakes and get meaning from common pronunciation mistakes or whatever that often are confusing to people outside of this profession. And they really need that opportunity to talk to someone who's not a specialist in this and help them see, okay, when I say it this way, this pronunciation is confusing everyone. And you make that connection that, oh, this isn't the right way. And I finally changed it a little, and then they got it. It's a really good experience for them in that way.
Yeah, I really found it when I myself was learning English at the age of 12. I found it very useful having someone who understood that my brain worked differently and that I was coming to conclusions from a different perspective than they were. And that made learning English way easier. And it's very useful, so I think it's a great program. Which takes us to our next question. How does an international student or conversation partner become a participant in the program?
Okay, so the best way is just to use a search engine like Google or whatever. If you just look for UWM Conversation Partners, it should be the first link that comes up. The actual link is long and unwieldy. Nobody will remember it if I say it. But just search UWM Conversation Partners. It takes you to the main homepage for the program. There are 2 links on there that go to the guides for international students and for native speakers, and just kind of lets them know that it's not a dating program. It's not
Yeah.
also a homework help program. That really it's just a cultural exchange, and for some a language exchange. A lot of our American students that join do so hoping that they can practice. For instance, maybe they're taking a Japanese class and they hope, oh, maybe I can get a partner who speaks Japanese so I can practice more outside of class. Unfortunately, the most popular languages, Japanese is one of them, that the American students request, and Korean right now.
Which is the one I'm taking.
Yeah, they're experiencing a real boom of interest in their culture and language. And often we don't have enough Japanese speakers or Korean speakers to match with everyone who requests. And also some of our bigger languages like Spanish or French or German, we've got a lot of students taking those languages, but not so many international students coming here that speak those languages. The Spanish, there's usually several. A lot of the European languages we don't have so much because they have a great educational system in their home country with free universities. So
There's
we
no
don't
need to
get
come here.
A lot of people coming from France or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we do have French speakers, often from North Africa, like Congo or Angola. I know we've got a couple people from there.
Nice.
And the last thing, there's also a link on that same webpage to register. And there's 2 separate links for the registration, one for international students and one for native English speakers.
Yeah, and I myself, when I was during the enrolling process, it was fairly easy to go through the entire application, and we got a response within 2 weeks, so it was very easy.
Yeah, we reset the registration form each semester, and it's just a Google form. It takes like 3 minutes to finish, probably.
So, once that process of finishing the application is over, we come to the part where we start matching native English speakers with international students. Could you speak a little bit more on how you create that match between the international students and the English speakers?
Sure. So from those registration forms, they get downloaded into a spreadsheet. So we've got one with our international students and one with our native speakers. And some of the questions on the registration ask about what language you speak, and for the native English speakers, if they have a language preference that they hope they can get. That's usually the first thing that I look at. So if someone, if somebody says, I'd like to have a Japanese speaking partner, I'll take those and I'll match them with the Japanese speakers first. Within that, if there are several, I'll look at their age. And actually probably almost equally important to the language is their gender preference. So if someone says, I really want to have a female partner, we want to make sure that they have that and that they feel comfortable with their partner. So the gender may even be more important than the language in the final decision. But those are both pretty high on the list. After that, I might look at age. And there's also a question about field of study. That doesn't come into play often by the time you get to that one. But I have a couple where they didn't have any people that spoke the language they wanted. And the age wasn't very close of the people who were remaining. So I thought, actually, though, they're both computer science, so
That helps.
maybe they'll have something in common that way.
Yeah, they'll bond over that. Nice. So I believe that will take us to our next question on what type of support and resources are available to the conversation partners and their international students to facilitate a more meaningful conversation. and address any challenges that might arise.
Yeah, so once the partners are matched, we do have an initial meeting to make it a little easier the first time you meet your partner. And we have some sort of conversation starter questions in a little game-like activity at that. After that, though, most of the partners are on their own, and it's a little hard to offer any real support like in real time. However, we do send out some emails once in a while with suggestions, things that are happening around the campus that might make for an interesting meeting for them. Recently, there was the solar eclipse that we had, and there were some events at the planetarium. And so I sent out an email and said, hey, if you're looking for something to do with your partner, this might be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And mentioned, maybe science and space isn't your bag, but we've also got some free movies and concerts and just some ideas about things they could do. But actually, I was thinking about something that might help is also to send a kind of a little list of some conversation starter questions with different topics about family or different kinds of experiences. I haven't really done that yet, but thinking that could help.
Yeah, that might be very
cases.
useful. Yeah, I do think that in my case, this is my second semester being part of the program. And with this new partner that I have now, it's been way more easy to have conversations. We haven't had the need for very much help on questions to start conversations.
Okay.
But I do remember that my first semester as part of the program, I didn't know what I was doing. And when those emails came in, having some questions that we could ask to start the conversation, they did help a lot to begin the conversations and to make everything go smoother. So I think that is a very useful tool for the students to use.
Okay, thank you for that feedback, Chris.
Of course.
I think that may be a goal for the next year as we go into it to provide a little more in that department there.
Of course. So, how does the program promote diversity and inclusivity, ensuring all participants feel welcome and accepted?
Well, for the conversation partner, diversity and inclusion is kind of just built in because it's so focused on the international students. And so we get male and female students from around the world, from Africa and Asia, South America, speaking dozens of languages. And there's also no age limit. We have students as young as 18 that participate, and some that are even in their 40s. So there's a wide range there. There's also, it's possible for community members to join who are non-students. However, for them, we prioritize matching our students first.
Yes.
So if it's possible, we have had just a couple from the community.
So it's great that it's just built into the program already, and that's at the forefront of the goal.
Oh, actually,
Yes.
Can I add one other thing?
Yeah, of course.
Something that we just started doing this year on our registration form, under gender, we added so we have, of course, male and female. We also added a prefer not to say. And I think maybe about 2 people have checked that box, not many. But I was really happy to see that it was there for them.
Yeah, it's very useful. I do know that most students at least appreciate having the option to have that possibility, and that's great for the students. And I think that possibly more in the future, more people will hopefully check the box. So, what type of activities or interactions do conversation partners engage in typically with their partners?
It's a little hard to generalize since most of that happens out of my view.
True.
Of course, just meeting at coffee shops and chatting, I imagine, is one of the things that happens a lot in the beginning. I hope some of the people take the suggestions that I'm sending about, concerts or art exhibits or, whatever's going on. There's always, if you check your events on your UWM website, there's something going on every single week, and a lot of it's free. So
Yes.
it's wonderful.
I do remember that in the beginning with my conversation partner, we of course had the coffee day basically. To start to get to know each other, but as time went by, we went out karaokeing or like
fun.
visiting the parks and just showing Milwaukee around. So it's been a very interesting and a very insightful experience to see Milwaukee from my perspective, having been here for a couple of years now, and seeing Milwaukee through the perspective of someone who just arrived and has seen the world from a different point of view. So it's very interesting to do all those things with them.
Yeah, I would just like to add that for our American students, our native English speakers, they get a lot of insight from learning about the cultures and the viewpoints of these students too. And so that's an important part of the program that we really do hope it benefits both parties, that it's not just like English practice time for one and the other is volunteering out of the goodness of their heart. Hopefully our American students are getting something out of it too.
It really does help. And even if you're not getting the how could I put this? Using your partner as your little translator for the language that you're trying to
Right.
to learn, which tends to happen, and it turns to be a problem sometimes. You do get to learn about their culture and their way of seeing the world, and that's a very insightful experience for any college student. So I think it's a great thing that we have into the program. So next question. So when you're looking back after the year's over, the semester's over, and you get the feedback from what has happened during the semester, how do you measure your success on the things that are going good, the things that are going bad with the program?
Well, that's a problem we're about to come up to. So, as I said, I've only been doing this since August, and in the fall semester, I was busy just trying to figure out how to do it and how to get it going and planning for the beginning meeting and everything was new, so it was kind of hard. And so in the fall semester, we didn't even send out like a survey at the end. And then this semester realized, we really should have done that. Let's do that this semester.
Might be useful.
Yes, exactly. to actually get some feedback from the participants and find out what did they like, what worked. So we did send that out, and I've sent links to that survey a couple of times now. We still haven't gotten that many replies, so expect to see another one coming soon.
Yes, definitely. Most definitely.
And so the question then, once we get that information, I'm not really sure what I'm going to see on it yet. And so that's going to sort of inform how we measure what has worked and what hasn't, and any changes that we need to make.
Okay.
So that's kind of in progress still.
Yeah, it's always great to see that there's plans for improvement in the future.
Yeah.
I guess we get to the fun part of the interview. Is there any anecdote, at least from the previous semester, that you have been working with the program, or this semester, any fun anecdotes about the program, or anecdotes that you have heard from other people in the program?
Well, a couple of things. It's been a wild ride this year. In the fall, our participation was phenomenal. And our beginning meeting, did you come to that?
Yes, I did.
Our pizza ran out in like 5 minutes. We didn't have enough because there were more students than we thought.
True. We were running to try to get the pizza.
It was real fun on the first one. The second one, we had terrible weather, and I think also maybe more students are just busier in the spring, or they realize I really got to crack down this semester.
Yes.
So we had about half the participants in the spring as we did in the fall.
And twice as much food.
And twice as much food. So, but, I didn't tell you this at
Yes.
the time. You remember we had some like fruit and veggie plates
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff. It was supposed to come with some hummus.
Uh-huh.
And when we got it here, it had like a little carved out like head of cabbage
Uh-huh.
that was supposed to have the hummus in it. They forgot to put the hummus in it.
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
So it's like, all right, well, what to do? I guess we're eating raw veggies. And
Yeah.
so the fruit went really well.
Yeah,
The veggies
those is-
didn't get touched as much as we had hoped because there was
Yeah.
nothing to dip it in.
I guess that always happens with veggies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you need something on it.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's just from the kind of administration point. Another thing I'd like to mention. I've had to like rematch people sometimes because people will drop out. And of course, things come up. I don't blame people. But do consider that if you decide to join, that it should be a commitment for the semester. And also to be accepting of who your partner is and go into it without preconceptions. So I had one participant who had asked for a female partner. Oh, and one other thing. Often we always have more international students than American students. And so sometimes rather than a one-on-one, we might have one native speaker and two international students.
Yes, which is my case.
And so that was the case for this person too. And they had asked for female partners. And I gave them female partners. But this person then saw the name and says, "That's a man's name. You said you were going to match me with a female." And I sent the email back and said, "Well, do you see on the information it says they're
It's female.
And then I realized, you're talking about the person's family name. That's not their first name, that's their family name. And the student, he was saying, that's a man.
Oh my God.
Is someone that I actually, one of the maybe 10% that I actually personally know. I was like, I've met her. I can guarantee she's a woman.
In just not knowing the name and
Yeah, so, a name that might sound like a female name to your culture could be a male name in their culture and vice versa.
that's hilarious. It
So
does happen.
Took a few emails to get that and sort it out.
Well, I think our next question is: are there any plans for expanding or enhancing the conversation program in the future?
Sort of. We don't charge any fees or anything. There's no income from this program for our department. And like a lot of places on campus, our budget's pretty tight.
Yes.
So we'd like to expand it a little bit. I think, so in the fall we had just one event at the beginning. I think one of the people who work with me, one of the other teachers, I believe, is starting to plan something, a sort of end of semester, again, like just little snacks and
Exciting.
To wrap things up.
Yes.
So like a little tiny bit of, not expansion maybe, but enhancement or...
Yes. That's always fun.
And, if the budget's there, we'd like to have a couple more events, but that's going to depend on how things go with
Yes.
our enrollment and how much money we can get through those activity fees and things that come in as we get more students.
Hopefully, through this podcast, we'll soon get more students to join the program.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
So, to finalize, is there anything else you would like to add, or any question that you think I should have asked and didn't that you would want to answer?
No, not really. One of the things in the spring we were able to participate in a student involvement fair over in the union. So everybody just put up their tables for a couple hours. And I realized I think we need like a subtitle or something.
How so?
Well, for our international students, conversation with a native speaker is something that they're excited about, something that's really important for them. But I think for a lot of native English speakers, what this is a conversation club.
Yeah.
I can talk with anybody anytime I want. So I don't know. I'm thinking the next time we set something up, we'll have like an international friendship.
Yeah.
Some other little words that will get their attention that way.
Sounds fun. Anything else?
Just a reminder, last thing. So it does not run in the summer. And of course, our spring semester is already wrapping up. We've only got a couple weeks left. But registration will open again starting at the beginning of fall.
So please join. I can vouch for the program. It's a wonderful experience, and you actually get to meet very good friends while you're at it and learning about cultures, languages, and it's a very interesting experience. I'll say that you'll have to join the program to figure the rest out. Thank you, James, for being here and giving us the time and to explain the program and to showcase the history of this wonderful program. And with that, we are going to wrap this second episode of the Conversation Partner Program.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me, Chris.
Of course. With that, we wrap this episode, and we will see you guys on the next one.